If you are interested in starting your own podcast, we use Buzzsprout because it is simple and easy to use. Buzzsprout can get your show listed on every major platform while giving you the resources for a great podcast website, audio players that can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening to your podcast, and tools to promote your episodes. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and that is why over 100,000 podcasters are already subscribed to Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Following the link in our episode descriptions lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you. So in return, you will receive a $20 Amazon gift card from Buzzsprout while signing up for a paid plan. Most importantly, every subscription through our link is always appreciated and helps support our show so we can continue delivering the quality content that you guys listen to. That being said, back to the show.
Hello, and welcome to Comic Book Junkies. I'm Andrew,
This is Joe.
and this time, if you're new here, we do this every year. If you're an old friend of the pod, you know what it is. It's the CBJ 2024 year in review. We like to go through, we kind of go over what media we've watched, games we've played, TVs, movies, books we've read, books we've collected, just kind of a recap of, what's kind of kept us entertained this year. A lot of good stuff. But you know what? Before we get into all that, Joe, you did just have a nice little trip to the comic book store. Do you want to fill in people on what you're able to find?
Yeah, I love tapping in with you guys and kind of just sharing our experiences episode to episode. No big books, but with the market the way things are, I kind of have a little more fun buying some of the smaller stuff and buying a lot of it. There's less to worry about and there's more upside. And then I feel like you have a little more fun in the stores too. There's nothing wrong with big books, but that's just kind of how I've gotten my entertainment lately. My wife and I were supposed to go on vacation, and I got really sick right before going. I was good while we were there, but we didn't get to do everything we wanted to do, and there was something we wanted to buy together that was sold before we got there. So I'm like, dang, how else do I know how to have fun? And that's going to comic book stores. So I hit up about maybe like 5 to 7 of them, and
Yeah.
mostly strikes, but there was a comic book store that moved locations kind of near Burger's neck of the woods, if you've seen our most recent post.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of cool stuff there. So that was one of the highlights of my vacation. That and Burger Juan and I all went to the last small con Knights of Columbus Con in Livonia. And I
Yeah.
saw the same vendor, and I had some books that I put away that I was gonna buy with him that he still had for cheaper prices. And so I bought some of those books that I didn't buy that day. So that was kind of cool too. But just to recap, I got like Justice League of America issue 12. I got the first Titano, which is like Superman 127, and a few other books that size or smaller. What about you, Burger?
I haven't been to the shop in a little bit. I did go on eBay though, and I did find a third appearance of Moon Knight. So I was able to win that on auction for about 25 bucks with shipping and tax. So I felt like that was pretty cool because typically for whatever reason that's like a 50 plus dollar book, even though it's not like a second appearance or anything like that. But since it's his third and it's in the same title he originated in, it's kind of a relatively lower print run because it's Werewolf by Night. I thought it would be cool to grab, which actually I realized that after the Marvel Spotlight appearances, or is it after Werewolf by Night? He actually had a like 4 issue run in the Defenders prior to his solo series as well. So there's a chance I pick those up in the future, but I can't imagine those being a high priority. But kind of a quiet front over here, kind of wait until after the holidays. Usually after Christmas, beginning of the new year is usually when I get my first big purchase of the year. I like to start off on a strong note, so we'll see what that is in a few weeks.
I did get to upgrade my Superman 233. That was exciting. That classic Neil Adams cover. But no,
That does
totally
rule.
agree. We do tend to, right around when that tax money hits, just get something big to start the year off. But speaking of
Absolutely.
which, do you want to recap our top 10 pickups of the year?
Sure. I mean, I could start it off. So, as a little disclaimer, my top 10 isn't like super firm. I mean, I went like ham this year. I probably bought, well, I don't know, almost like 2 dozen big books that could almost go on here. I mean, big year for my Thor collection in general is kind of like a special shout out, like it didn't make the cut. And I forgot I replaced another book on here that almost made the cut too. Plus, I got some awesome gifts in our Christmas in July swap. You can listen to that episode if you want to recount that. I did leave those off the list for the time being, even though I did get a Prowler and a First Silver Age Phantom Stranger, which are big books and cool books. It's just kind of a testament to how much big shit I got this year. So, Fantastic Four issue 4 is my number one pickup. First Silver Age appearance of Namor the Submariner. Got a Wonder Woman 98, the first Silver Age appearance of Wonder Woman. Got an upgraded copy of Flash 106, the first appearance of Gorilla Grodd and the Pied Piper. I've got a new copy of Iron Man 55, which I had actually traded to get the upgraded. No, I think I traded that towards my Fantastic Four 4, but I got another one of those. It's technically cleaner. It's got a little bit of Sharpie at the top, but structurally way nicer. Got a Showcase 14, fourth appearance of Barry Allen, first appearance of Dr. Alchemy. Journey into Mystery 89, classic Thor cover by Kirby. Hulk 180, first appearance cameo of Wolverine. Showcase 20, first appearance of Rip Hunter. Showcase 37, first appearance of Dr. Magnus and the Metal Men. And then I put Green Lantern 87, the first appearance of John Stewart Green Lantern, to wrap it up. So I had a pretty good year. I think the book I actually left off interchangeably with the Green Lantern 87 is my X-Men 14 that I also upgraded this year, which is the first appearance of the Sentinels. I have a way nicer copy now. So it's kind of a toss-up between those two of which one I wanted to put at 10. All in all, great year. Definitely need to save more money next year, but I will say the opportunities presented themselves. The market came down a little bit, and that's how I was able to do all this. Don't know if I can outdo it next year, but like I said, usually like to start strong, so we'll see. How about you, dog?
Where does that rank for previous years for you?
I mean, honestly, it's so top heavy. This is probably my best year yet. I mean, I've gotten big Silver Age books this year because, like, if you think about it, like my like worst top 10 book is a John Stewart. That's not a bad year. I got 3 of the top 10 are Showcase. I mean, a single digit Fantastic Four book, Silver Age Wonder Woman, they're early Flash. So it's probably my best. I mean, there was a year where I got like my Crow issue 1 and a Brainiac and like my giant size. So I mean, it's pretty close to then, but I don't know. I just feel like the scarcity of these books, you don't see a lot of the books that I got as often, I feel. So I would say probably this year's probably my best yet, to be honest.
Word. Yeah, I feel like the buying power was incredible this year.
Absolutely.
Like, I think I spent probably more on books this year than I did last year just because of the whole getting married thing. But I might have spent about the same amount as I did the year prior to that this year. And I feel like I got way more bang for buck.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel the same way. And I mean, and that's even with like only, I mean, I semi traded like on 2 of those books for the top 10, but I still had to come out cash in hand. And I did spend a lot this year. I'm not gonna lie, but like you said, like I feel like I got so many more books and so many bigger books this year. I bet you 2020 through 2022, I probably spent the same amount and probably got less.
What's encouraging too is I feel like the demand for comic books is still there and is still alive. It's just that the market's down. I feel like a lot of this DC stuff is pretty promising too. I think maybe kind of like the switch from Marvel to hopefully DC movies at the time of the recording. That Superman trailer is not out yet, but I'm very excited about that. But no, I hope things kind of stay like this for a while because it's made collecting a lot of fun. The best book I got this year was my Action Comics 242. That was like the second book to really kick things off for me. That was like when I got my tax money. But a clean copy of Brainiac, not clean, but it's slabbed 3 or 3.5 or something like that. I don't remember,
Pretty
but
nice, presents well.
yeah, it's complete and attached, which is the important part. So that was my biggest book. The Flash 106 per condition might not be my second best book, but I mean, like per guide, it is just because those are expensive and really high grade. But to get that book for what I paid for it is just criminal. So
It's
first,
silly.
Gorilla Grodd, Pied Piper. The next best book I got was that Werewolf by Night 32. So I finally got a Moon Knight this year. I remember when that TV show came out and it wasn't even that good, but the books were just way too expensive. And I think it kind of over-indexed. I thought that book was getting way more money than what it was worth, but now it kind of under-indexed. I think it could go up a little bit in value. I think now is probably a good good time to get in on that book, but I got a 4 or 5 slab to that this year, so that was pretty cool. And at CherryCon, so it was cool to get that when I was with the boys. Didn't make the list, but I also got a Wolverine 1 that day, so that was pretty cool. Next biggest book is my Detective Comics 298. So first Silver Age Clayface. That's really what kicked this year off for me. Her guide, they don't really go for a lot of money, but honestly, that might be my second biggest book of the year per condition. So I was
Yeah.
pretty excited about that. It's a pretty clean Clayface. Hulk Annual 1. I got that during our comic swap this year. It was the first year we introduced Juan to it, so that was pretty big, and I've always wanted that book. Number 6 is one I got recently, X-Men 10. So first Kazar, that was only like about $100 out of pocket, and I mean pretty big book. First 10 issues of the X-Men, first Kazar, first Savage Lands. I mean, it doesn't really get too much better than that. I think it's my oldest X-Men book too. I got a Conan the Barbarian issue 1 from my wife for my birthday, so that was an early pickup. So just first Conan, but a classic Marvel book in any Marvel heavy collection. I got a Daredevil 6 from my wife as well. First Mr. Fear. That's probably my earliest Daredevil book to date too. So that a lot of that Silver Age Marvel stuff has been a lot of the highlight of my collecting this year. Now that the DC stuff is kind of popular, I've been trying to get more Marvel. A, I see more of it, and B, it's cheaper than it ever has been. So that's been pretty cool. I did get an Incredible Hulk 102 while we were at one of the Knights of Columbus cons earlier on in the year. And last big comic I got this year was and I've gotten way more than this, but to make the top 10 list would be my Adventure Comics 229 for Silver Age Green Arrow, for Silver Age Aquaman. Another book that doesn't really index very high, but it just got legs. And it's super clean too. One of my cleaner older books, probably north of being a 6, maybe even 8.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. And
Don't
then
forget it's first Topo the Octopus.
you can't forget about that first app.
I
And
won't
then
let you.
And then last but not least, it's not a comic, but I did want to put it on my list, even though I've gone through 10, is my first Yu Yu Hakusho. It's not technically a comic, but it belongs somewhere between 1 and 10. So I just
Hell
needed
yeah.
to, yeah, put that on there because I didn't really know how to value that book. But
It's hard to say.
sentimentally and just yeah, it just a great book, and it was the book I got this year for comic books in July. So very happy with my top 10, best top 10 this year. I could have even, to your point, made a top 20 this year with the prices that comics were being sold at. So really fun to kind of reflect and look at some of the pictures that we've took of our pickups over the last 12 months.
That's facts. Yeah. I mean, I feel bad leaving like so much stuff off because I feel like I've gotten just so much cool stuff this year. But if you guys want to see the actual pictures of what we're talking about, remember that at CBJ Pod on Instagram. Still rolling through the backlog, might not be completely caught up, but the vast majority of these books are posted on there. And if they're not already, or by the time you hear this, they will be eventually. So there's a lot of books to scroll through across our two collections.
There's a lot
So,
of books I didn't take pictures of this year either.
yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of gaps where I've been posting a lot of my books, and I'm like, I feel like there's Joe books in here somewhere, but then I don't have like I'll go in our group chat, I don't see them, or I don't have them saved, and I'm like, I need to sprinkle in some more Joe, so that's
Well,
why
like I got an Annihilus this year. I don't know if I ever took a picture of that. I got a first Blois, Black Lois. Uh,
Blois.
Blois. Never took a
Whoa,
picture of that. So,
hell yeah.
some good inventory.
Good inventory. Yeah, I mean, like, if we just want to shout out other random books we got, I got like a Talia al Ghul this year. Like, I was real hyped on that. That didn't make the cut, but I don't know. I already have some. I'm waiting for after the holidays. You said you scoped out a couple books at the shop you just went to for that sale. Well, not even a sale where you made deals. I'm looking to see what the pricing is on some of those once the holidays are done, so I can maybe take one of those home with me to start the year off, a little upgrade action, or maybe get another Bat book I really need.
Insider info, the staff was different too.
Oh, that's good.
It was good because I did not like the staff that was there before.
You're telling me he's got better staff now and he's got good books. I'm gonna have to make a trip because I don't head out that way much anymore.
The location's
Um,
good too.
it's not bad.
No, it's right on the corner. I got perfect parking just right up on the corner. And then they had a bunch of stuff on the wall, so Highly recommend it.
Shit. Well, that's good to hear. But shifting gears, do we want to not talk about collectible books and talk about maybe, I mean, we've talked about it throughout the year to varying degrees. Do we want to do a quick little touch base on what we're currently reading that's good? I mean, like you said, if you've listened to us before, we do briefly make mention of what we're, reading, what's good in our opinion. But I'm not going to belabor the point. I don't got a ton to say because you've probably heard me already say it, and I haven't altered my pull very much. But I know you've had a larger pull this year than in years past, so I'm sure you've got a little bit more to say than I do. So do
Sure.
you,
Yeah, this has been one of my best years for modern books, to be honest with you. Not so much in like quality, but quantity. It's
mm,
unfortunate that I have to get a lot of like
the
best
China
modern
method?
read, yeah, from like these little like four bangers, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. But Ultimate Spider-Man has been really, really solid this year. It's probably too late to get an issue one of that, but if you just like to read, I would probably pick up the trade for that. That's been good. Wolverine Revenge, the Red Band edition, it's not over. That's been decent. That's a mini series, but I love Craig Capullo art. Sometimes it just makes the writing better for me, as crazy as that sounds, because I just like the visuals that he always has for the characters. Transformers is okay. Superman's been good. It's worth pulling. The most recent issue of Superman I read was pretty good. I just picked up G.I. Joe. Batman The Long Halloween is okay. Batman and Robin Year One's been good. But really, the best thing that's come out this year, and I think it started probably in 2013 or 2023 or 2022, but Batman and Superman's World's Finest is still probably the best thing coming out this year.
Yep, that's where I'm at. I don't got it nearly as big a pull as you, but that's kind of where I'm at. World's Finest is still the best thing I'm reading. Really harkens back to the Silver Age, which is my favorite time in
But
comics. So
that EC stuff that you got me hip to is pretty good though too.
yeah, and that's my other thing. I only had two notes were World's Finest and the EC stuff. So I will say I'm pumped on it because my wife, she likes to collect like actual like, horror stuff from the pre-code era, golden age horror stuff. So it was cool to see that EC was making a comeback. They came out with Epitaphs from the Abyss. I will say I think that's the weaker title right now. It's fine. It's just not revolutionary or anything. But the EC Cruel Universe is where I've been enjoying it the most. More of like the sci-fi books rather than the horror books. Even though they kind of bleed the lines bleed together of whether it's horror or, just sci-fi in that book. But that one is ending and it is being replaced by Cruel Kingdom, which is like a fantasy, like a sword and sorcery type book. So I'm actually kind of excited for that as much as I can be for a modern book. So I'm interested to see where that goes. But really, those are the main two things for me. Don't got a whole lot else to say. I'm sure you guys have your own opinions. And if you've been listening to us, you already kind of should know that we're very hip to World's Finest if we're going to recommend anything. But I will say I did pick up G.I. Joe 1 as well, just to give it a test run. Did recently try the JSA series. Not sure that issue 1 really was much of an introductory issue, but I've got a big stack of pull books that I finally grabbed after my latest doctor's appointment. So I have a lot of reading to catch up on. But we'll see when I do that. I'm sure I've got some half days coming up next week, so maybe I'll catch up then. But unless you've got anything more to say on that, I say we shift gears yet again, and maybe it's a little bit of self-sucking action here, but let's talk about some of our favorite episodes. I don't want to dwell too much on it. I've just got a couple here that really, I feel like we're the most fun or maybe the best listens. If you're new here, to go back and kind of get the vibe of what we're about. Or if you've already listened, maybe you agree that these ones were kind of more fun in your opinion, who knows? But personally, I think my favorite two episodes of the year 2024 was our episode 100 special with Juan. And honestly, the Junkies going to Cherry Con and the anniversary sale, which also featured Juan, just because those were two of the biggest events of the year, I would say. Episode 100 being our milestone episode, special guest. And then obviously our Cherry Con trip recap the anniversary sale that Juan and I were able to attend. I just feel like it's the most fun when you can kind of just shoot the shit with the boys when that was like the biggest comic event of the year for us. I mean, we made a whole trip out of it. It was a great time, good memories, and we made out like bandits, I would say, descending upon Traverse City, and then also the anniversary sale. And I don't know, I feel like we're most relaxed and just shooting the breeze when we're doing those types of episodes. So I feel like those were fun. Which ones were higher up on your list?
Yeah, and just mostly for gratitude too. It's fun to kind of reflect and like relive the moments that we were kind of recording those episodes. So those were my two favorite as well.
Nice.
Mostly because they're shared as well.
Yeah.
Not to take what we do for granted, but it's just cool when you can get a third person involved that kind of shares the same passion as we do. And yeah, I like those episodes for different reasons. Like the comic roulette was fun in the 100th anniversary episode, and then obviously Cherry Con was a blast. More so doing it than recording it, but in the same breath, it was a lot of fun for a lot of different reasons. Like I think that was like Juan's big 50th birthday, and
Yeah.
Christmas in July. It was kind of like a merger of a lot of things. But some other fun things that I thought we did this year that we didn't do previously. The matchups one was fun, like Rockman versus or the Magic Helmet. Um, that was fun. And just because we're going off vibes, like we don't have real stats to say who's better or not, but who should
Uh,
win.
yeah.
A little bit of this or a little bit of that was fun. And then I like it kind of got worn on me a little bit, but at the beginning, comic book trivia was a lot of fun too. So those were fun. And that's kind of why we do this. It's the important part. And maybe we have more fun recording it than you guys listening. I don't know. But no matter what, those were some of the comic highlights I thought we had this year.
Yeah, and we definitely kind of changed up the formula a little bit this year. We have been busy guys. Obviously, if you're doing a lot more reading, reviewing, recapping earlier, we haven't been able to do too much of that as of late. It is tedious. Granted, it is also kind of fun, but we've done a lot more like lists, semi like advice kind of episodes, kind of taking a deep dive into things. We've done more games, we've done more lists, more battle stuff, just kind of more conversational, kind of thinking about the medium type stuff. Like we've kind of really diversified the topics this year as opposed to years past. So I do find that fun. I feel like we'll find more ways to cook up some new games. I think we've got some recurring segments we kind of like. I do like our Price is Right because with the way prices have been changing, especially relative to like our expectations, because like for the past like 4 years, we've been like thinking a certain way about the way books are priced and like how they're valued, and then just taking a look now in review and kind of seeing how things have really shaken out. But yeah, I mean, a lot more fun to be had. We're definitely going to do more episodes next year. Don't worry, guys. I know you guys are real worried.
And that being said, like every year everybody's got like a New Year's resolution. And I kind of liked reading. Even if it's small stuff, it doesn't have to be series, but like, whether you guys liked when we kind of did first appearances of characters or whatever
Wouldn't
that
mind
looks
that.
like, I would like to do a little more reading in 2025.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I think the
But
first appearances definitely would be a better
yeah.
route.
Yeah, so a lot of reflecting for us to do too. But hopefully you guys liked how we diversified the topics. That being said, not a lot of good movies this year, in my opinion, but a lot of good TV shows.
Yeah, I was gonna say movies were nothing. So Joe is the resident cinephile here. He's the one who knows movies, collects movies, goes to the movies. I don't mean to cut you off, but like my movie list is so small, we could run through it in a second. I mean, if we're talking nerd stuff, technically, I looked it up. Dune Part 2 came out this year. So that's actually something the wife enjoys more. So I thought that came out like last year, dog. So Dune Part 2, saw Deadpool and Wolverine if we're talking nerd stuff. I mean, that was a solid flick. Liked it more than I thought I would because I'm not a big Deadpool guy in general, but that was a solid flick. Made non-nerd stuff. I made Jazz watch Idiocracy this year. So that was fun because I love Mike Judge stuff. That movie's funny, especially because it's real now. And then in terms of horror movies, which I don't usually watch, but on Halloween I was like, screw it. I heard a lot about Terrifier. Watched that. That shit was nuts. That shit was nuts. And it was just like gory for the sake of it. And it was kind of like badass, but also kind of like, why did they make this? But I mean, if you're, I guess, like not easily repulsed, maybe you can sit through that and enjoy it. Enjoy is a weird word, but if you want to test your metal, I guess, watch that one because it's wild.
Sure. I haven't watched that one. My favorite scary movie of the year was Late Night with the Devil, and it technically came out in 2023, but it wasn't in theaters until 2024. Best movie I watched all year, to be honest with you.
I
Amazing.
still haven't seen it.
It's got that guy who played the Scarecrow in the original Dark Knight trilogy. He's the main actor.
No, that you're talking. The Cillian Murphy was the Scarecrow. You're thinking of David Dast Malchian or
My
whatever.
bad, bro. Yeah, he
The
was the guy who was in the
Polka Dot
second
Man.
movie. Yeah. And he kind of he was one of the soldiers towards the end and he like cut his mouth, so he kind of looked like he was infected by the Joker or
I think
yeah.
he was in Ant-Man 2 or something too, as one of his cronies.
No, you're
And he
right, but he
was
does look like Murphy. That's why I thought of that. That's crazy. But yeah, that was a really good movie. And then it technically came out in 2023. So that's how bad this list is. But I don't know when I technically watched it or if I mentioned it last year. But Iron Claw came out December 2023. That was really
I
good.
I think we did talk about that. That movie did rule. Co-sign on that.
Yeah, so that I mean that's the extent of my movie list, unfortunately. But the TV shows had it going on this year. So I think it started with maybe Invincible season two.
If that was this year, I didn't have that on my list because I wasn't sure, but I definitely watched that. That was cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that came out this year or not, but I watched it this year and that was really good. Batman Cape Crusader was really good. It was just like the original Batman the animated movie. I mean, it took a lot more liberties, but it felt the same, which was the
Forgot
important
about
part.
that.
So, I mean, great show for those that just want more of that in their life. I really liked the episode with that ghost.
Yeah, Gentleman Ghost.
Gentleman Ghost was hard. Yeah.
Yeah, he steals from the poor.
Yeah. And that's really evil.
That's evil.
Yeah. True Detective, Night Country kind of sucked. I love True Detective. It's still worth watching because it's True Detective, but maybe they're not one of their best seasons. I was hoping it'd be a
Uh,
little more supernatural. It wasn't,
uh,
unfortunately, but still okay. X-Men 97 might have been the best animated show I've ever watched in my life. So that was
good
a
move.
pretty
Good show.
big premiere this year. The Penguin, I just finished all of that. So much better than the Batman movie. Maybe my favorite live action show this year, comic or not comic related. It just seemed like every episode, I'm like, there's no way it can get better than this. And then I'll turn on the next episode and it's like, oh, dang, this is better than the last episode. So, like, it topped itself like every other episode. So, love the Penguin. That was awesome for me. And then it's probably not going to make my list, but I'm watching the Creature Commandos in real time. It's not finished. That's okay.
Same.
I'm going
Yeah.
to keep watching it. It's not amazing, but it's good enough to keep watching. But last but not least, not shows that came out this year, but I pretty much finished all of Lost with my wife. We started it from the beginning. That's been a lot of fun because I never watched it previously. And then The Sopranos, I've already seen all but like the last season. And then my wife wanted to start watching. I'm like, I'm not restarting it from the beginning. But now that she turns it on every night, I kind of reinvested into it. And that's been a lot of fun rewatching too. I mean, best show of all time. So
Nice. Good list. Yeah, you have a few that fell off my radar, especially X-Men and Batman the Cape Crusader. Currently, my wife and I are watching Smallville. We're in season 3 right now. Banger, wholesome, awesome. We love it. Best Lex Luthor ever. I didn't watch all of Secret Level, which is on Amazon Prime, but I did watch the Warhammer episode because Warhammer is my new jam. That was pretty badass. It's only 20 minutes. Follows the events of Space Marine 2, the video game that came out this year. Pretty badass, though, if you want to get into that stuff. I've been watching Detroiters when I'm not watching something with my wife. If you've watched I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, very funny, based in Detroit. Obviously, we're Michiganders. Hilarious show. It's finally on Netflix in the US. Would recommend. And then, obviously, which is weird, big time growing up. Took a long time off, but I began watching professional wrestling again this year. I do watch WWE and AEW. AEW is worse. WWE is far superior. Honestly, I've been enjoying NXT the most, and that's supposed to be the developmental brand. That's my TV for you. But as far as video games go, Joe's not as much a gamer, but I am. As the aforementioned Space Marine 2, absolute banger. Best game I've played in a while. It's just very fun. Just destroying aliens with the bros. And also, I mean, it is nerd related, just came out. Marvel Rivals, it's basically like if Overwatch was Marvel and therefore cooler. Very fun playing as the Punisher and Moon Knight on there. It's free to play too, so nothing to lose there. And then only other thing other than video games is new hobby. Surprise, it's Warhammer again. So ripped off the Band-Aid, bought my first set of minis. Wife and I painted them. I've got some Space Marines right now. Don't know where I'm going from here. She bought an Orc army that we have yet to assemble and paint, but just what I needed, another expensive nerd hobby. Pretty excited to get into it though. It's kind of fun because it's not something I typically do. That being said, I feel like that really recaps our whole year here. All the media, all the new hobbies, games, books, pickups, all of that. Remember, hit us up on CBJ Pod on Instagram. You could see all of that there. Facebook, Comic Book Junkies Podcast. We're on YouTube, everywhere on podcast platforms. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars if you can. Helps the algorithm, which helps us spread the good word. And really, other than that, we wanted to just take the time to thank you all. There is no Comic Book Junkies without there being junkies. So thanks for listening. It's been another great year. We hope you have a great holiday. If you're hearing this after the holiday, hope you had a great holiday and a happy new year. And I mean, we're going to keep the train rolling right through 2025. We'll have plenty more stuff for you, plenty more books, I'm sure, that you can check out. And yeah, just feel free to reach out, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, for supporting. Hopefully, we've re-energized your energy in collecting or at least watching movies or shows or whatever it is that makes you listen to us. Hopefully, some of that's leaked into your own life. And Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you.